First up, once again, we are thrilled to welcome Steve Rozow joining us today. Steve is a Mach Medical co-founder and investor, currently sitting on the board of directors and operating as the company's general manager. He has over 30 years of experience in the medical device industry, building 3 greenfield manufacturing operations throughout his career. Steve's past titles include EVP of Global Process Transformation at NuVasive, EVP COO at Roland Barg, and VP of Global Manufacturing at Zimmer. He will participate in our Summit's Customer Spotlight session to discuss important industry-specific challenges to consider while exploring new business operations technology, alongside our very own Matthew Bose, VP of the Digital Advisory Team for Columbus. The team Matthew leads consists of cross-practice architects who advise customers on how best to leverage Microsoft technologies to achieve their digital transformation goals. Matt joined Columbus a year ago and is a Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Supply Chain Management Practice Lead. So let's get started with our first question of the day, which is for Steve. Before you connected with Columbus and got to the stage of choosing a technology partner, what were some of the industry pain points that you ultimately ended up addressing with technology?
Yeah, I think there are three big pain points that we're seeking to address in our particular industry. One is the inventory challenge. So our particular industry is just weighed down in inventory, and it's not uncommon to see a year's worth of inventory on the balance sheet at cost in public companies in our space, and a lot of that has to do with the delivery model that's currently just the modus operandi for how things are done. A lot of that has to do with the manufacturing supply chain and the long lead times involved with that. And then a chunk of it has to do with the way technology links the events that happen within the clinician's practice to the supply chain itself. So we aim to tackle that big issue through the partnership with Columbus. We also aim to tackle the long procurement times that are endemic to the industry, and then the other one is the product development cycle in our industry is resource intense. We're a high mix, relatively low volume market when you compare us to, say, automotive or other traditional commodity type markets. But that high mix nature of what we do drives a large engineering footprint within organizations such as ours and others in the industry. The cool thing there is that the engineering efforts are largely driven by patient anatomy, and patient anatomy is well known for the most part, and can be decomposed in ways that allow us to automate a lot of those engineering efforts, which is another chunk that we want to work with the Columbus team on. So really it's 3 big things: inventory, lead time through the manufacturing cycle, and lead time in the new product development cycle that we're aiming to tackle.
Great. And for you, Matt, what does it mean to have life sciences specific expertise as a technology partner?
First of all, based on our experience working with dozens and dozens of life sciences, we've been able to build some tool sets, some of which we'll be showing later today, that can be deployed at various different types of life science companies, whether they be medical device manufacturers, pharmaceutical manufacturers, and those kind of tool sets serve as accelerators for getting value out of your ERP system. So that IP, I think, is an important part of our experience and expertise as a partner working with life science companies. But also, it means that as we discuss accessing information to improve decision making, as we discussed, managing risks in the supply chain, or even just employing best practices for daily business processes, we enter into those conversations with our clients with a background knowledge and don't have to lumber through a process of getting up to speed before providing meaningful insights and contributions. So I think that allows us to not only deploy, the out-of-the-box ERP systems more effectively, but also to collaborate with our partners to create bespoke solutions that help set them apart from their competition. So I think really in summary, there's kind of three components to that. One is, more effective, more efficient deploying of out-of-the-box functionality. Two, that we have an array of accelerators and IP that can be deployed at a broad array of companies. And then number three, that we can shorten that cycle of coming to an understanding on how to help our clients differentiate with unique customizations or accelerators for their particular business process.
Question for both of you. From your viewpoints, why is a cohesive tech stack important?
Sure. Well, maybe I can start off. I think that it is important that solutions can talk to one another. It really does open more doors for communication between the systems, which in turn is important for putting together meaningful analytics and leading to better decision making. I think one of the key elements of the Microsoft solution set is that they're aware of one another. So it essentially becomes more of a plug and play type task to start building those integrations between the two systems, right? So it really reduces the cost of integrations and pulling together data to provide kind of those meaningful insights. So I think in the past, what you would find is that you would have to have very highly paid specialists that were knowledgeable in each one of the individual solutions, and finding those specialists, pulling them together, getting them to coordinate with one another and work together, that could be logistically very difficult, and it can be also extremely expensive. And so to have them work together to perform each step in the process of building an integrated solution really made a lot of what I would say, particularly in the area of predictive analytics and prescriptive analytics, it made that very much out of the budget of small and medium-sized companies. And so I think Microsoft has done a great job of building these solutions that are aware of one another, so that it really reduces the cost of creating integrated solutions, and therefore pulling together that meaningful information, rendering it in a way that users can read it and interpret it. It's become a possibility now where once it wasn't. And I think that's one of the key, advantages of having this cohesive stack that Microsoft has put together. And so I think that's a real differentiator for Microsoft.
All right, thank you guys. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
I would just quickly add to that. I mean, in my experience with this stuff, I've never heard a salesperson tell me that product X can't be integrated with product Y. The answer is always yes. But the reality is that that's probably true, except for that the number of people that can actually do that out there becomes a scarce resource. So I think of it in those terms as well, and that if Microsoft, with Microsoft stacks such as this, the ability to access talent that can help us do those integrations and build out features that we need specific to our company is probably a bigger pool than what we would find otherwise. The other piece of our particular industry is we're highly regulated, and one of the pieces of that regulation requires us to basically validate everything. And I can tell you that a lot of times more money is spent on the validation than actual deployment of systems. So the more complex these integrations are, particularly through any future revisions that may need to occur, those validations can become a really onerous task for us. So the simplification of that is extremely important.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Steve, again for joining us. And with that, we'll wrap up the first segment here.